I hope you guys are ready because earnings season is officially back in action. We had two powerhouses, Netflix and Tesla, report earnings after the bell today. So we're going to dive deep into those, but we're also going to cover some of the best setups in the market right now. And unfortunately, we have some horrendous news for the market. So make sure to stick with us throughout the video. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
100%. And what did everybody wait for today? It was the Tesla and Netflix earnings reports. And it actually looks like Tesla had a good report, Mike. I know that we've actually been waiting for that. It looks like the report is decent. So far, though, the stock's price action is all over the place. We're moving up a lot, down a lot, but it looks like we're actually sitting right around 292. I hope that we get more movement than this, or else it's going to be a bad day for anybody who tried to gamble on these options. And if we do open here, it's just going to be like a big theta burn in the morning. So be ready for that if we don't get some more movement. But looking at the numbers, Mike, the revenue came in pretty good. Now, the big concern lately is that their margins have been declining. They've been having price cuts, and that's really hurt their margins over the past few months and couple quarters. But looking at the revenue, it actually beat a little bit there, 24.93 billion versus 24.47 billion expected. And the EPS actually beat as well, which I thought was pretty good to see. I know a lot of people were actually forecasting EPS to come down a little bit from what I was looking at today on some of the estimates. So I'm happy to see this, Mike. It's looking good. And, you know, they had those good delivery numbers earlier in the month, too. So I'm really not surprised to see them beating on some of these numbers.
For sure. I mean, they missed free cash flow estimates by around $1 billion, which was not good to see at all. But on the other hand, like you said, you know, their delivery numbers were solid and their revenue is booming. It's up like 47% year over year. So the stock is just kind of like at a standstill in after hours right now. The earnings report wasn't like, you know, game changing, but it wasn't like bad either. It's just kind of flat. So for tomorrow, you're really going to have to be very adaptable with this one. Bulls are not in control, at least yet, and neither are bears. But Tesla, being one of the most volatile stocks in the market, can start blasting closer to market open and vice versa with the downside. So just be adaptable with this one tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting to me, Mike, is I know that you've really been talking about this big resistance overhead for the past couple days, right around $299 to $300. And where did we hit today as that high? Right around that big resistance. And if we go to Tesla's daily chart, we're actually still sitting like right on one of these key trend lines that Tesla's been on here for a few months now, as it's been kind of falling off to the downside. So I'm still going to keep this in check for tomorrow. If we do start to see a bigger move up above 300, maybe that would be a good time to start, you know, following the momentum up. But if we don't break 300, I don't think I'm going to touch this one.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong resistance. So now, Tom, on to Netflix. Netflix also had a bunch of hype with this quarter's earnings. And, you know, the stock isn't doing too great in after hours. They closed right around like that $477 level, and they're down around $20 in after hours. What's the story behind this one?
Yeah, pretty rough here with Netflix earnings. So I actually saw some stuff that was actually pretty good about it, honestly. But obviously the thing that's bad, though, is that they missed on revenue. So that came in at $8.2 billion versus an $8.3 billion expectation, which is bad. But the EPS actually beat by quite a bit. And they actually added a ton of new subscribers here. They added 5.9 million subscribers. Now, they don't give the estimate here, but that beat estimates by quite a bit. So I'm at least a lot of them that I was seeing earlier. So I'm happy to see them beating estimates with that. Now, the big thing, though, Mike, is how does the market react to the earnings, right? I feel like the market should be acting a lot better than it is here. You know, they have the password sharing taking hold. It's helping bring those subscriptions up and that earnings, but that revenue just came in a little bit south. So I guess that's really kind of what, you know, is bringing the stock down here in after hours and just not giving it that wow factor that people were hoping for to get it up above $500.
Yeah, and to give a little bit more detail, Tom, about these added subscription numbers, you know, they added 5.9 million subscribers during this quarter, and they were only expected to add around 2.1 million. So that was a pretty strong beat, and normally this would move the stock to the upside, and their guidance was pretty good too. Like they were guiding like a 7% year over year increase for next quarter. quarter. So it's pretty good. Looking at the stock, like you said, it's just not enough to like wow investors. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Tom. As we get into earnings season, if we're being realistic, Netflix and Tesla earnings were not bad by any means, right? Were they like amazing, like revolutionary, game changing? No, but they were not bad. And both these stocks are struggling to run up. So it's like, if this type of sentiment continues, as some of these other powerhouses like Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Google, and all the other ones report, in order for them to run up, they'll need like some really, really big beats.
They really will. That's a good point because, we've been seeing so much upwards price action lately that the stock is so high, it's probably hard for a lot of people to buy it up here, right? Like, if you're going to buy it right now, you're risking it. If there's a pullback, like you could see like a nice 30-40% pullback here on a stock like this that is up so much if something bad happens towards the end of this year. And we actually have some unfortunate news with Kramer to talk about in a little while. You guys should stick around for that. But yeah, Tesla here definitely not looking good, Mike. And I hate to see that with these earnings reports because, like you said, it's starting off earnings on a bad note. I will say, though, the banks have done pretty good the past couple of days. At least like Bank of America, Goldman, and stocks like that have been doing pretty good with earnings lately, though.
Yeah, so what else is on the schedule this week for earnings?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit. Honestly, tonight, even Discover reported. So if people want to check that out, you can. Zion's LVS, Las Vegas Sands, nice casino stock there too. But tomorrow, big stock in the morning, TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors, American Airlines, Johnson & Johnson, even Nokia. Shout out to that Nokia trader in the chat a long time ago. If you guys remember Icy Pro, the guy who was up like $1 million on this, let me know in the comments. That was wild. But yeah, TSM, AAL, Mike, and J&J, and then American Express on Friday are pretty much the only things I'm watching for the rest of the week.
All right, sounds great. So while there aren't any mega tech stocks reporting like Apple, Amazon, or Microsoft, at least for this week, we still do have some pretty exciting news specifically with Apple, Tom. So I'll tell you, I was not expecting this news, but you could see Apple just blasted to the upside out of nowhere today on a report showing that they are making their own equivalent of Chat GPT. So they supposedly are calling it like Apple GPT right now, which is kind of funny. But, as I said yesterday, the AI bubble continues. You can have a company that sells, I don't even know, shoes, and you mention AI and the stock will boom up. So it's like anything with AI is exploding right now, and it looks like Apple is cashing in on this craze.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to see that with Apple, Mike. I've been hoping that they would develop their own because honestly, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the other ones. So I hope that Apple could make one that actually beats Chat GPT in a lot of ways. And I hope that, I know that a lot of these things are just now starting out, but I'm hoping that theirs becomes one of the more advanced and bigger ones as time goes on. And I think I saw that they were actually looking to call this one Ajax, which is pretty interesting here. I know Ajax, there's a bunch of names for these different, AI technologies and GPTs, stuff like that. But I like the name Ajax, Mike. Apple is a powerhouse and I do not doubt them. I don't doubt them with those VR headsets coming out. I never doubted them with the phones, the watches. I really don't doubt them with AI. I think they'll be one of the better ones.
Yeah, and what's interesting is if we go back to the charts, believe it or not, Apple actually made a brand new all-time high off of this news. So, it's running with some serious power right now. Its new all-time high is at $198.23. So we're almost at that $200 mark, and it's booming. It's moving with some serious momentum. So keep this one close on watch. But Apple is not the only big tech stock with some cool news. Microsoft also had some pretty cool updates with their military side of the business. So Tom, fill us in.
Yeah, I actually really love this type of stuff. So Microsoft is poised to deliver their improved combat goggles. So a lot of people were actually making fun of Microsoft's old combat goggles because you would wear them and apparently it would kind of make you sick. Sometimes whenever these VR headsets work, it projects an image to a screen that you're looking at essentially, and it can make you, dizzy and sick because, it's kind of like motion sickness going on. So whenever you see this, they're trying to make it obviously where people aren't getting sick. And what's interesting, Mike, is I saw a bunch of cool things like with these headsets where there's going to be some awesome like heads up displays. Even it can even help you aim in some circumstances I've seen. So I do like these headsets. I think they're awesome for the future. And I'll tell you what, if I ever see soldiers coming at me and they're wearing VR headsets that like tell them where I am and all this stuff, I'm not messing with them. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I think like this type of stuff can end up being like a multi-hundred-billion-dollar business. And I think like if Microsoft can really capitalize off this like first test run, I think this can end up just making Microsoft that much more of a powerhouse. Of course, they're a beast in the technology side of things, but you know, maybe one day they'll even have like they'll have a bigger like defense side of the business, you know, like start cutting into like Lockheed and Raytheon's cut of the U.S. You could say U.S. spending for military.
Yeah, geez, that defense fund's so big. Give some to Microsoft here with the headsets. This is so cool, Mike. I can't wait to see what happens. It's almost like I'm seeing like Call of Duty in real life right now. You know, I never thought that I'd see soldiers wearing this, but hey, like you said, it could end up being a big deal. And you know, this is definitely, I think, the future, especially whenever you get like into outer space and stuff. Those heads-up displays on like spacesuits are going to be very important too.
No doubt. And Tom, this next segment of the video honestly kind of depressed me a little bit and just made me feel a certain way. As we have to go back to the charts first, right? As we look at the charts right now, we can see stocks that have just been ripping to the upside over the past year and even longer than that, right? We were just talking about Apple making a brand new all-time high, and they are not alone. A lot of stocks have been running to the upside. And I think this next piece of news can single-handedly change everything. So it's going to be hard, Tom, but break the news.
I'm sorry, guys, but apparently Jim Cramer doesn't see a recession on the horizon. So every man for themselves, run for the hills, Mike. I don't know what to do right now, but I'll tell you what, this is the nail in the coffin for me. There's going to be a recession later this year.
Just the other day, we were talking about how Goldman saw like a 20% chance of there being a recession. This has guaranteed that recession. Seriously, like now yeah. I'm being dead serious. Like I might actually take like a short position on the market now. And like it's not a horrible level to do so either.
Exactly. And he says right here in quotes, those who cling to the notion that we're about to enter recession must find all these examples daunting, if not depressing. But earnings season has shown the recession thesis just doesn't hold up under close scrutiny, even if many so-called experts tell us otherwise. So I find that very interesting, Mike. I'm really hoping here that, you know, I hope that Cramer's wrong, but you know, if we're inversing him like usual, then I'm definitely going to be worried for the end of the year this year. And what's interesting is that, you know, we're seeing Tesla, Netflix, all these big stocks report tonight, and they're not really overwhelming. And there's so many big stocks at key levels. Like Tesla's at $300 right now. That's such a key resistance. Apple is just about at $200. Another big resistance. Netflix is at $500. Nvidia is at $480, almost $500. It's just like every stock right now is also at major resistance. So I'm curious to see what happens with these earnings, Mike. And I'm hoping that good old Cramer boy is right this time, actually, but I don't think he is.
Alrighty, and you know, even looking at the seasonality right now, over the past 72 years, we're getting into a part of the month that is normally pretty weak. So July ends up being like a pretty good month for the market, but you know, normally around like the 17th to like especially like the 24th to 25th day of the month, the market does end up pulling back a good amount. So just keep that in mind going forward. This is over 72 years worth of data.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and, you know, the market kept going up. I'm very curious if this will hold up, because that is a lot of data, Mike. Like, I would have expected this. Like, whenever I saw the chart initially a couple weeks ago, I was thinking, like, oh, this must only be data from, like, the past 5 or 10 years or something. But no, that's 72 years, guys. So, historically, it looks like from, you know, the 17th to the 25th of July, we kind of have a downtrend there.
Yeah, so definitely keep that in mind. But Tom, let's get right into some of those setups for tomorrow. And one stock slash ETF I am watching very closely is wheat, believe it or not. WEAT. As you might guess, this is actually an ETF that follows wheat prices. And basically, for those of you who don't know already, Russia surprisingly backed out of the grain deal with between them and Ukraine, and wheat prices are starting to boom. Wheat prices, or the wheat ETF, was at like almost $13 back when the war between Russia and Ukraine originally broke out. And now the ETF is all the way down to like $7.10. I can definitely see this rising a lot more over the coming weeks, assuming a deal does not get made. There's, obviously like a big catalyst behind it, and wheat has fallen quite a bit over the past year or so. So I'm watching this to the upside in a pretty good way.
I'm actually a big fan of this one too, Mike. I think that this will be awesome, and I love how we look at, like what's going on with these countries and exports, and that plays such a big role into commodities like this. And what Russia said today with the Black Sea was actually scary. They said to treat it like a danger zone now. So yeah, just it sounds pretty scary actually. What Russia said, even for like just conflict's sake, it sounds scary. So I'm definitely going to keep wheat on the radar. I think it can move a lot over the next coming couple weeks. And looking at AMD, Mike, I got to look at him to the downside tonight, especially with these lackluster earnings going on, at least the lackluster movement so far. And we're sitting actually around a pretty decent support around 115. So if AMD is able to break below like 115, I'm definitely going to eye up some puts. I think that these semiconductors can fall. And AMD recently had a huge double top up here right around like 120 to 122. So I'll be watching for that to hold up.
All right, Tom, I'm kind of scared to say my next play because I know someone in the comments is going to crucify me for it, but it is what it is, baby. So I am looking at NVIDIA, actually to the downside, though. It has some really strong resistance at $480 a share. It has struggled a lot to break above that. Plus, earnings so far have had negative reactions. Plus, NVIDIA's up however many hundreds of percent over the past couple months or so. So I am looking for a pullback. The resistance is pretty strong, and like I said, the earnings haven't been like too great so far. So I'm watching it down.
I can't believe that the low to the high from like the low of last year in 2022 to now is up 340%. I mean, it just keeps going and just keeps blowing my mind every time I look at it. So I'm with you, Mike. I think it'll be to the downside too, especially if the market does not come back off of these good earnings well tomorrow. And, I'll actually go with my next play. I'm actually going to look at a stock to the upside because I feel bad. I've been talking about a lot of stocks going down lately. Lucid, I think, could actually have a pretty good day tomorrow. They had a nice recovery day today. They ran up another 2.98%. And if they start to, recover up from that dip at the end of the day today, I'll look at some calls. It's going to be more of a momentum play where you feel it out at open. You can see there's been some good momentum coming in around that market open time lately. So I'll definitely watch it, Mike. And I know Lucid has had a bit of action lately, with the PIF buying in and all that stuff. For anybody who doesn't know, it's a Saudi public investment fund. I'm not going to go too deep into them, but it's a big conglomerate, we'll just say, that controls a lot of money in Saudi Arabia.
100%. Well, you mentioned momentum plays, so let's crack right into them. With the first one, we have Bank of America to the upside.
BAC, I actually love the banks today, Mike. I thought that was a great move with their earnings here. If Bank of America can break above 31.70 just at that high of day, then go ahead and eye up some calls.
With the next one, we have Zoom also to the upside.
Yeah, Zoom, nice day today by them. If they can break 74.20, which is like intraday resistance right here, I'll go ahead and look at some calls to the upside.
And with the last one, we have BABA, and we need both directions.
Yeah, good old BABA again. I love this stock, Mike. It has some pretty good intraday moves. It's not my favorite to like buy and hold, but for trading, I really like it lately. If they can get above 92.80, I'll look at some... actually, you know what? Screw 92.80, Mike. We're going to go 93 right here. I don't want anybody to get screwed over by that. Make them break above 93. That would actually be a nice move. Maybe target like 93.50 and then 94 to the upside as that starts moving. But if we fall under 92, then look at some puts. That's a decent support there.
Sounds good. So we have that downside level for BABA. If it breaks below that, we're watching it for puts. We have the upside level as well for calls. And then don't forget about Zoom and Bank of America with their upside levels for calls as well. But it is now time for the $1.2 million big money trade of the day. And we're looking at another bank stock, USB. Someone dumped $1.2 million into the USB 40 strike call options that expire on September 19th of 2023. Bank stocks have been ripping lately. USB had a great earnings reaction. It's at a historically low price. It's actually very close to its COVID crash 2020 price. And, like I said, banks have been running with some power lately. So I think this setup is one worth following.
I do too, actually, and I like it because it's not like a super long-term expiration. We actually have another big money play from US Bank, but you can see that expires January 17th of 2025. So, we have been seeing some people long this bank. Honestly, Mike, I feel bad if the big money long that one in January because they must be down quite a bit right now, but it's starting to come back, and that's the importance of time, I think. Now, what I like about this play here in the short term, though, is that we're at this point where we're around $39 to $43. And in the past, we had a few huge candles right here. If we start to maybe fill those big moves back up, that would be great. And I would think maybe this week we could hit $42.50 if we keep seeing this good momentum come in.
Sounds great. So yeah, keep a close eye on this one over the next couple weeks. And if you're looking for the best way to capitalize off the current market right now, you got to check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. Our bot had a perfect call out with Disney today. It was the Disney 86 strike calls alerted at $146 each. They popped all the way up to $220 each. And not only do you get access to our bots, but you also get access to a bunch of great option screeners like our SM bot, which had some signals today that popped for 154.98%, 140.89%, another play for 100 and we'll call it 39%. So lots of great gainers here. You also get access to the multi-million-dollar hedge fund plays that we talk about in the videos, but on the same day that the trades are made before the market closes. So, you get a better entry price most of the time. So on top of that, you actually get to talk with Tom and myself basically all day long. We spend an embarrassing amount of time in this Discord, and if you need anything, you're just a message away. So check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. But Tom, while we're still in the Discord, we have to give a special shout out to today's member of the day, Profit Hunter, who just crushed it today. He had a 7.72% up day, we'll call it, and he did awesome with SPX. So awesome job, Profit Hunter. Keep it up.
Yeah, that's amazing. SPX, $3,500 on it. Amazing trades. And to get your account up 7.72% in one day, great stuff, Profit Hunter. I know you've been in the Discord for a long time, so I appreciate you. And yeah, thanks for always being an awesome member. And hey, if you guys want to be shouted out as member of the day, click the link below, join the Discord. If you guys have any awesome profits, post them up in the Profits channel, and you never know, you might actually be featured on a video too.
There we go. So Tom, the market is in earnings season. As we all know, this season is one of the most game-changing events that we see in the market. We have some huge companies set to report, and as we all know, sometimes you could have a stock report great earnings and tank like the world is ending, and other times the company can have earnings as if they're about to go bankrupt and the stock will go up by 500%. So it's a crazy time, but volatility is here. Take advantage of it. Stay disciplined. Control your emotions, and let's make this earnings season one to remember. Tom, do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
I like saying that, Mike. Stay disciplined. That's the big thing right here. Don't get out of yourselves over here over the next couple weeks. There's no reason that anybody needs to blow an account on an earnings play, right? I think it's good to just sit back, relax, maybe watch what's going on, catch some good trades as you see them, but I wouldn't be gambling on earnings, that's for sure, especially seeing how Tesla is today. I feel bad, Mike. In the morning, I mean, it looks like the calls and the puts are going to lose this time if it opens up right around here.
We shall see. So thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to join the best options trading community around. But besides that, let's have an amazing rest of the week.